Okay, let's quickly go across to another special guest joining us on this broadcast, Subhrakant Panda. Of course, the past president FICCI and Managing Director Indian Metals and Ferroalloys Limited joining us on this special broadcast. Thank you very much, Mr. Panda, for sparing time. A quick overview and your take as far as budget interventions. Can we have him on the screen, please? Budget interventions in cutting across various sectors are concerned. And yes, there is a lot of chatter and talk now that how this new tax regime is going to put more money in the hands of people, and I think by and large the Janata has given a heads up and a positive nod to the announcements.
Good afternoon, Sakal. It's a pleasure to be on Doordarshan with you talking about the budget. I think it's a budget which ticks all the boxes, and most certainly the finance minister saved the best for last with the blockbuster announcement about the tax relief with the focus on the middle class. 1 lakh crore going into the hands of people, I think, is a very, very significant number, which is bound to boost consumption going ahead, and that obviously augurs well. Because at a time when there are external headwinds, I think we have to look inwards, we have to look within, without, of course, forgetting the export markets. But, we have to rely on our own strengths and unified domestic market to achieve growth. I think the other thing which stood out was the statement about reforms as fuel. I think we got a precursor of that in the economic survey, which was presented yesterday. And clearly there is a thread of reforms being used to improve ease of doing business, ease of living, and generally to provide impetus. I think that came through. But if I were to talk a little bit about the manufacturing sector, which is what I represent, I think it's good to hear about the National Manufacturing Mission with a focus on labor-intensive sectors, because again, we cannot have a situation of jobless growth. It is important that jobs are created, and I've also been a firm believer that India's growth to a large extent has to be predicated on the manufacturing sector. So from that point of view, the National Manufacturing Mission, the Export Promotion Mission, these will all have a good impact at a time when our fundamentals are strong, but external factors are sort of weighing down a little bit on us.
Right, Mr. Panda, also with regard to insurance, this is the announcement that the budget made of FDI limit for insurance sector being raised from 74 to 100%. In general, what do you what do you foresee for FDI coming into the country?
Well, this is certainly something which will bring in more investment into the country, and insurance, of course, is a very important sector because it permeates throughout the economy. It's long-term money which comes in, and if I heard the FM right, this exemption is available provided all the premium income is invested within the country. I think that's a smart rider, if I can use a pun related to the insurance industry. So that's something that'll certainly augur well. And again, as we grow and develop as an economy, the role of insurance, be it at an individual level to provide safety and security, or be it at a corporate level, is something which is important, and therefore bringing in more long-term money into the sector and seeing that that there is that it is there to aid and abet growth is welcome.
Also, are you satisfied and happy with the trust-based quote-unquote regulatory framework announced by Minister Sitaraman in tandem with what CA said that, and I'm quoting him, but get out of the way and trust people we must, for we have no other choice.
Absolutely, Sakal. That's that was what I think came through in the economic survey yesterday and the CEA's press conference, and also in the finance minister's statement today. The regulatory reforms and strengthening trust-based regulations, I think, is a wonderful move. And she cited examples, particularly with regard to income tax filings, where giving a little bit of leeway to people to sort of address any inadvertent issues in filing, etc., has paid strong dividends. So I think generally it is something that we must focus on. And that famous statement, trust but verify. So trust people. And ensure that anybody who misuses that trust faces the music, But by and large, I think most people, if are law-abiding and want to go about their lives, in a manner which enables them to sleep peacefully at night.
Indeed, and from the manufacturing sector point of view, there are certain customs duties that have been reduced, exemptions on open cell for LED, LCD TVs, looms for textiles, capital goods for lithium-ion batteries and mobile phones and EVs. This is to boost Make in India. How would you view this?
So I look at that from two angles. One is, in as much as specific sectors are concerned where rates have been brought down, I think that's being done with a view to, as the finance minister said, to boost domestic manufacturing, to promote exports, to boost value addition. So I think some of these changes have been done keeping that in mind. But equally, I think what we must not miss out on is doing away with 7 tariff rates altogether and leaving only 8 in place. I think that's the sort of simplification that FICCI had advocated very strongly. We had also talked about simplifying TDS and TCS rates, and that seems to have been done to some extent. So I think these are, again, it boils down to making things simpler. And literally, as was articulated, getting out of the way and allowing the private sector and citizens to do their bit. But I want to add one other point, which is that I think what is very striking is the fiscal glide path which has been maintained, because containing the fisc at 4.8% for the current year and estimating it to be 4.4% for the coming year is something which is significant, because what it means is that even as a lot of money has been pumped into the economy or is being proposed to be pumped into the economy, the finance minister is not doing that in a profligate manner. She's making sure the books are balanced, and she's making sure that the credibility of the whole budgeting exercise is maintained by sticking to the fiscal glide path.
As a former FICCI chief, and I remember when we used to speak to you earlier, you would also speak about the big push that's needed in the MSME sector. Well, today, how do you view the launch of the export support mission, and also your final comments with that, Mr. Panda, very briefly, we're running short of time. Overall, an industry view on the budget, this budget, in terms of the wish list that you had, is this in continuation, and would you call it futuristic as well as inclusive?
So definitely futuristic and inclusive, but specifically on the MSME sector, I think the increase in the turnover and investment limits to classify as an MSME is very significant, as well as the credit support which has been provided. And the export promotion mission to be coordinated by the Commerce, MSME and Finance Ministries is indicative of a coordinated effort to address this. So certainly inclusive in as much as wish list is concerned. Many of those wish lists have been met, and I think we need to get cracking on a few more points where we can get the government to to target inclusive, broad-based growth.
Yes, the government is certainly in a mission mode. Thank you very much, Mr. Panda, for joining us and sharing your thoughts.